Welcome in, y'all. Timeshare Clarence. Cinco de Mayo 2025. And I'm hoping that the audio isn't so bad on here that I can't post it. But I got some stuff on my mind. Primarily one concept that I got myself to while I was winding my way through my history and regrets about my relationship with my kid's mom and my oldest daughter biologically, as well as the twins, but primarily Aaliyah and Lily, which even in that dynamic heavily skewed toward Lily, to kind of be trying to process my feelings, and not about the relationship, but now I didn't intend this to play out this way, but I was given an assignment by my therapist to process my feelings. And like, I think we both laughed about it because that's a daunting task for me, because the feeling that I most easily recognize and that I experience the most is frustration. And she told me I could logic my way through anything, but I need to process my emotions, because I can logic my way through everything. So with Lily specifically, a lot of people don't understand why I choose her. And it's simply because that's the only person I've ever been in a relationship with where I love them unconditionally. So when you truly love somebody unconditionally, that ain't really going away based off conditions. It's like kind of the fucking definition, right? So no matter what she did, what she does, it doesn't change how I feel. And like, whether I like it, whether I agree with it, whether it makes sense to me, I admit it. So that's something that's very easy for me to identify. And the same thing with my kids. But kids is different than a romantic relationship. So obviously, that's unconditional love that I have for Lily and Aaliyah. And those are the two most impactful relationships of my life. And definitely the two relationships that have caused the most change in me, because I was disappointed by my behavior in those relationships at some point in time, even though I do still feel like in both of those relationships I've contributed a lot. I feel like I've done more good than harm, but they certainly don't agree. And that's all that matters. It don't matter how I feel, it matters how they feel. Because the determination of whether or not we have a relationship is not up to me. And that's with anybody in any situation. Like, your relationships are not necessarily gonna be who you choose to have relationships with. It's who chooses to have a relationship with you. Now, you influence that by your interaction with people, but ultimately you don't control the outcome. You just control your input. So if whatever my inputs were have created these outcomes, I ain't looking at them for excuses. I'm looking at my behavior and how did it contribute to these outcomes that I don't like. So I'm out here tossing some things around in my head, and what it ultimately led me to was the impact of my faith in the past, in my, I guess, work environments, social relationships versus my familial relationships, and then my immediate or nuclear family relationships and dynamics, and just the disparity of my reputation throughout these different levels of relationships. And the one being that's the absolute worst are the people that were around me the most. So our interaction was different, and I try to have better interaction in other situations, because yelling and screaming, getting mad, having my face all frowned up, looking at people like I can't stand them, because it don't even matter how I was feeling, but just for that to be the influence of the relationship, why would you want to have a relationship with somebody if what you feel like you receive from them is always negative? It's either negative words, it's negative looks, it's absence of affection, it's invalidating your feelings, all these other things that, even though it wasn't my intention, it still was my input. So that's a pill that gets stuck in your throat. You talk about a hard pill to swallow, but that's also why it influenced the most change. Because, like, I had a conversation with my mom about me cursing. Everybody I talk to, regardless of who they are, like, I curse sometimes. So that's who I am. And is it something that I feel like I need to change at this point? I really don't. Because, like, I'm not ignorant. I know what them words mean, and that's why I chose those words in those situations, because I want to communicate effectively. If I feel the need to say asshole, that's because that's what I'm trying to express. I ain't trying to say jerk, or I would have said jerk, because I feel differently about those two words. So with that being said, I love my mama. So if it bothered my mama enough that if I curse when I'm talking to her, that then she will not talk to me, that cost would be too much for me to curse. And that's why a lot of situations, I feel like it's gonna either result in me making the changes that I need to make to deal with the people that I want to deal with, or me not dealing with certain people, or certain people not dealing with me. And I'm perfectly okay with those outcomes. And when I say perfectly okay, I guess I really should say I can accept that. I can accept not having relationships with a lot of people that I've invested a lot of time, energy, and effort in, that I've made a lot of sacrifices for, and that I know I did my best. And if my best is not enough, I don't question whether or not I did my best. Was my best always good? No. But it's consistently gotten better based off of the feedback, based off of the complaints, based off of the criticism, all of these different things. to where, I mean, thank you. Thank everybody who gave me any feedback that led to me changing to contribute to me getting better outcomes in my life. Even if I don't talk to you, even if I never see you, we never kick it, whatever the case is, I truly appreciate it. That's why, like, even though I swear I'll be bullshitting, and that's what I mean, I be bullshitting, because I can record every day, and I be thinking about stuff every day. But it be so much that sometimes I just cannot will myself to sit down and deal with this stuff, because it is hard to deal with. It's very hard. People can't deal with traffic. I love not driving. I really do. Because that is one of the most frustrating things in the world. Because people just ridiculous. So, anyway, like, all of these things I'm just trying to be real about. So, let me finally get to the point. As I was working through this stuff, I was thinking, it's worth it. Like, my relationship being in shambles with these people right now. Like, because I just never can get past the story of Job. Like, I always feel like it's just a test. It's just a test. And it's the same test. So, I already failed. And when I say that, what I mean is my faith. And people can say whatever they want to. And it could be dumb. It can be delusional. But it's 100% my choice. Before, when I was in the military, I felt like and after the military, I was consistently going to church. And just being real, I didn't like, I felt like the advice that I got from both of the pastors, that I don't feel like they was offering bad advice. I just feel like that ain't how my faith works. And this is what I mean by that. I was going through stuff in my marriage when I was in the military, and I was at church praying about it, and I was trying to work on myself, and I was asking the pastor to pray for me. And I won't say their names, though both of them will always like have a significant place in my development as a man. But with that being said, like, both of them pretty much told me, or not told me, but questioned whether, like, why am I continuing to pray for my wife? Like, essentially advised me, man, you need to take your L. And I listened to that advice and I regret it. And I will always regret it. So that's part of my issue with religion. All right? Because any book was written by men, regardless of what the inspiration was. Hell, what do you think? Like, this is like, I got a lot of inspiration from my life of why I'm recording stuff. Can I feel like it came from God? I 100% feel like a lot of this stuff came from God, or, you know, whatever faith that I have to, at minimum, influence my perspective and then how I receive and respond to things, to be the type of person that I feel like I want to be. So it's a lot of scriptures that a lot of people quote, a lot of people claim they live by, so on and so forth. And I would believe that it's in the Bible somewhere, but I can't tell you the scripture or whatever. But I've heard enough times to have it burned in my memory. Pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. What does that mean? Pray without ceasing. I mean, it's pretty, it ain't a lot of words. The word's not complex to understand. Pray without ceasing. And I feel like the people I trusted the most gave me advice that was directly in conflict with that belief. They told me to throw in the towel. They told me stop praying about it, accept it, move on, whatever. And I don't think that was the best advice. So I'm back to doing what I do independently of a church or religious leadership or whatever, which is believing in God, understanding I got to do the work because faith without works is dead. Pray without ceasing. And this time I'm not going to revert back on that. I'm not like, it ain't church, it's me. So to wrap this up, because again, I don't want it to be too long and I'll continue in another video. The message that I felt like was like dropped in my lap this morning while I was thinking about all this stuff was simply one thing. The only difference between unwavering faith and absolute delusion is the outcome, right? If you believe something crazy and it happened, then your faith was rewarded. If you believe something crazy and it don't happen, you was delusional. But it's the same thing with the exception of, again, the outcome. But the outcome is determined by what you do. And I believe that. And nothing is going to make me doubt that. And I don't care how long it takes. The things that I want, I am going to continue having faith that I will have those things. I will continue to pray without ceasing. I will continue to do the work, and I won't quit. And that's what it is. So either my faith will be rewarded or my delusion will be revealed. But for everybody tuning in, appreciate y'all. Until next time, Timeshare Clarence. Peace.